We do have we do have this microphone right here for people to come up and make statements. And Mary, I think you have a statement, comment.
Hi, my name's Mary Pierpoint. I'm a student here at Haskell, and I will probably continue to be a student of life. That's what I was taught. I am a member of the Cheyenne River Sioux Tribe of South Dakota, and what I've noticed, I've had the privilege of being a journalist also in Indian country, which means that I've been able to go to places that many people never get to go to, and to see what's happened when we talk about environmental impact and talk about what's happening to our people. And I've looked at what's being talked about here. I'm not, and Mona did talk about the Lakota grandmothers trying to do something as far as the water in South Dakota. The water in South Dakota already has radioactivity in it. The fish already show it. And that's important to me because my grandchildren now live in South Dakota. They were born here in Kansas. My son and daughter-in-law took them back 2 years ago. They're eating that fish. But because tourism is such a big deal, nobody wants to know about it. They've kept it quiet. The only time they want to see Indians in South Dakota is at a powwow or for their advertising. The other thing that I have seen is I've traveled down to the Kiowa, Apache, and Comanche lands, where a dog doesn't live for more than a year because of what the oil fields have done. And I've seen the elders who are sick and not getting the help they need. I've been tried to be thrown out of BIA buildings because I have gone in and followed people through the process of trying to get help. And there's a uranium mine in northwestern South Dakota right now. It's been closed up for a long, long time. That's got a dead zone that's going all the way down from near Buffalo, South Dakota, down through the Black Hills. Wells have people who are getting burned in them. Cattle are dying. There's no grass growing. Animals can't survive. That's not being talked about. That's being put aside. We have the coal mines in Montana, and we've got a real problem, and it's not just Indian people, and that's the Oglala Aquifer. Because what's happening with the coal mines and the runoff from that is that the Oglala Aquifer is turning to gel. And it's happening at a faster rate, according to studies, than they expected it to happen. That's going to affect pretty soon people in California are going to be worrying about stuff. Then maybe when they worry, they'll do something. But I've gone down to northeastern Oklahoma, where the Missouri people are dumping their stuff in, Grand Lake of the Cherokees. A few years ago, you couldn't even go in the water because of the danger. And yet, as the only thing I've been able to do as a journalist has been to go out and to tell the story of it. And even though the news, but I'm writing to Indian country. I'm writing to, I'm preaching to the choir. And any time that I've gotten close to something, I've had death threats. I've had to change my phone number. I live pretty quiet. I don't Facebook. I don't do any of that stuff. Just because of the fact that there is a threat out there to anybody who wants to have a voice. And you've got to be able to take the strength of your elders and stand up to it and not be afraid. And sometimes it was pretty scary when I was sitting in Overbrook, Kansas, in a closet writing some of these stories, and I was vulnerable. I've been vulnerable many times, and all of you who are here, look at what has happened with the South Lawrence Trafficway. How many generations of students have gone through and come back again and again, and that keeps going. The fight continues. One group, I've been around here since 1988, and I've watched as one group of students has picked it up, and they've continued the fight, and we have to continue this fight. I worry about my grandchildren living up there. And all of these things that happen may just be small things, but the small things become big things. But there's also room for hope for us, too. My Uncle Clarence has land near the Cheyenne River, along the Missouri River. A lot of it was taken during the Pick-Sloan damming project. And he remembered the stories of his elders. And we do follow the oral tradition in my family. And he remembered about the stories of how the draws used to look. Because anyone who's driven down I-90 in South Dakota knows it looks like a moonscape. There's nothing in the draws. There's nothing there. And what he did was, over 50 years ago, had gone out. He collected seeds from the few places on the reservation that still had draws that had life in them. Because he remembered hearing about these draws that had all of this teeming life that was there. And it was gone. He didn't know what he was doing. He had no clue. He stood up on top of a hill and he threw handfuls of seeds down into the draws. That area is now being studied by scientists all over the world. The Mortensen Ranch Project, I believe it's called, and South Dakota State University, I believe, are the ones who are behind it. And what has happened is that those draws are now full of life. And plants that they thought were extinct. Water plants have come back. Springs are now there. When you walk out onto his land and go into these draws, what you find is that there is, every type of food we need to survive. It's there. The wildlife has come back. The birds have come back. All of these things have happened because one man had an idea from stories the elders told him. So there is hope out there. And as he does that, he runs a successful cattle ranch. And he does that just by following the way of nature, moving the animals with the cool grasses, moving them with the warm seasonal grasses. There's hope out there, but there's so many small things that are not being brought up that have to be brought up. And it's all throughout Indian country. Each tribe here has something that is going on, and it's not making mainstream news because they don't want it to. And I've watched it for many years. I've written about it for many years. This is the first time I've actually given my own voice to it. And all I can say is that I urge all students and elders who are here to go back and to, get that oral tradition going again. Get those stories out there. Because if we don't, what's going to happen to us, there's not going to be anything left. We're going to die off from disease, poison, and everything else. We're not even counted when they talk about us politically. And if we are talked about politically, what ends up happening is that we have to put what tribe we came from. We've lost so much identity, and it's time now to have a voice. Thank you very much.